Are we good?
I think so. Do you see it?
I think it says there's a little like live that's in there, so I'm assuming that's what it means, but it's also where my screen share is, so I don't know if I'm live screen sharing or if we're live.
We
I
are
think we're live.
Okay, good. So we're gonna go off the agenda a little bit. I apologize for that, and I didn't put up a new one. Katie, I'm gonna totally put you on the spot. Do you want to share the document that you created for the timeline? Because I think that this is where I'd love to focus today. What's upcoming and all the things that are ahead of us.
Like open it on my computer and share it on my screen?
Yes, please.
I will try. I make no promises.
Actually, oh, I have it. You know what? I didn't think I had it up. Do you want to talk to it if I share?
Sure. But
I was just going to say, just to kind of lay this out, Katie, thank you so very much for taking this on. I was having like a minor panic attack with all the things that are going on in my whole world. So I'm so grateful that we were able to, that you were willing to do this to organize us. So now yours.
I like organizing stuff, so it's fun for me, but I want it to make sense for everyone else. But really, it's just the first tab is sort of every project that we have going on. And I figured we'd just keep a running list of what we're working on and what the status is of it. And then each other tab down below is just that month. So can you move to the February one?
I can.
Which, thank you. Just at the top are the big projects we have going on. And then each week below, and hoping to sort of see like what we have scheduled and keep us on track and not have too many things in 1 week, and make sure we always kind of, if we can get ahead, get ahead. The last week has been a lot of, it feels like it's been a lot of running around, right? Trying to everyone get something done. Does it make sense? Because this is organized in my head, but that doesn't mean.
It does. I had a question for Sandy and Diane. With next week being a vacation week, do we have a district newsletter? Will one go out? Is it considered like quiet times while everyone is?
Yeah, we generally do not send newsletters when school's not in session.
Okay. The reason I was asking is the way that it was set up initially is we were putting some of the information in for this week, but that backed it all up. So we're a little heavy again on the week of the 21st. Sorry, I'm not doing a very good job of screen sharing. So it changed things. So I don't know if that would impact, Katie, the thoughts on the snippets, if we want to run in conjunction of not using social media during vacation week.
The social media snippets, I mean, in my opinion, they're tied to the CRF update, which is a bigger thing. It's more like support of that. I would be opposed to running those vacation week, but I don't know if we as a district have that stance of let's not do anything that week. I don't think there's going to be anything lost by running them that week. But I don't know. I mean, you guys, do you think we even need the little social media snippets to go with the CRF thing? We might not decide we don't need them.
All right, so I was gonna say my thought on this is yes, because it is such a meaty topic. There is so much information and there's so much good to what we were able to do. I think we need to highlight those things. And if we don't, we're missing one heck of an opportunity to communicate how that money was spent wisely.
I agree. And I think it hits people who, the newsletter has such strong readership, but just in case somebody missed something or they didn't read through the whole document, now they've got another avenue to see that same, see another piece of information.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of the CRF stuff is intended for the community as a whole. So it doesn't have to be just parents we're hoping to catch their attention who are on vacation. I mean, for everyone else in the community, it's just another week.
Right.
I think we need to do more of them if we're going to do them then. And I think my lacking creativity skills might already be maxed out. It's a rough place for me to be.
Honestly, I spent a good portion of the weekend reorganizing my life. So I have a little bit of control. So it's going to open up the creativity angle again. So I can help pop in on those.
Okay.
I would like to propose that the week of the 21st, in addition to the search information, that we craft something with respect to the town newsletter, or we submit it exactly as is for those parents who don't get the town newsletter to get the CRF update as well. What do you guys think?
Wait, say that again.
Because we don't believe that all of the same people are getting the district newsletter and the town newsletter. Should we republish the CRF update? Or do we want to recraft it, retone it to put into the district newsletter?
There's definitely no danger in over communicating, right? Because as you said before, it is a super meaty topic. And even if somebody read about it in one place, if there's more about it in a different place, that might be that second time you read, like, oh, this is starting to make sense now. I get this piece.
I would agree.
Okay.
So you don't think putting that in the district newsletter will take away from the superintendent stuff that you need to get in there? That would be my only concern. And if they can be sort of published, I guess, as separate chunks.
Yeah. I'm
Can we
thinking,
do that, Diane, or is that too much for the board piece of the district newsletter to have both of those in there?
I mean, the information is the information. I think, we definitely have pretty beefy district newsletters. But again, I think if we don't do them, then we run the risk of not communicating enough. So I'd rather have people complaining like, I can't believe how much information you're sharing versus not sharing any information.
yeah.
I agree completely.
At least then it's there, and if they want to read it, they can, and if they choose not to, that's their personal choice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thoughts of, do we want to just republish it? I think it's a solid piece as written. I don't know if I'd want to change anything in it because I don't want to lose any of what's there. Any concern do you guys have of just republish as is?
I don't have any concerns because I think the message is consistent and we don't accidentally leave something out by trying to change it up.
Yeah, my only concern would again be overwhelming what Diane's doing with her part of it. Because it's a long piece. Like, does it come up in the district newsletter as like the little sort of beginning part and then someone can click to read the rest, or does the whole thing get?
Depends on how you want it, right? Because this is the little hiccup with S'more, which is we purchased that platform because it has the ability to translate in like 50 languages, right? So it becomes a real inclusive tool to lots of audiences. The caveat on that is only the front-facing information is translatable. So if you put a link in to something else, Google Doc, for example, none of that is translatable. So, it's really just weighing out what's the information that you really want to ensure that everyone has the same access to. It's a really tough call, to be quite honest, because we want everybody to have everything.
Yes. I'm just afraid if we like print that whole thing, well, I don't know. I mean, you can tell us, I guess, doesn't it seem really long to put in a district newsletter? No.
I mean, we could put a link to it, and we could have like a little caveat, like if you need this translated, to reach out, and we could throw it on a s'more. We could put that in the document that's linked to.
Yeah, because maybe we can find the happy median with what to Kristen's point, but also that we don't lose anything. Like maybe we put in the first paragraph of it. And then to read more, click here, to read the full article or however, and then a piece of if you need it translated, a little disclaimer if you need it translated.
Yeah.
Any harm in sending it separately outside of the district newsletter? Send it as a s'more email so that it's its own document. It would cover, Katie, your concern about, are we overshadowing other news? It would then allow anybody who needs to translate it to translate it. And we're still hitting the same audience.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to send it as a standalone, we could just in the subject header be like CRF funds or federal monies, how did they get spent?
What do you guys think? Or is that just overkill?
Well, I was just wondering, oh, sorry, Katie.
No, go ahead. I have nothing.
The superintendent search info that is on that same week, is that going to include the link to take the survey? Or is it is? So what I might suggest is we leave the CRF stuff in the newsletter and we send the superintendent search separately.
Okay.
Because that has actionable items for them to do, right? They take the survey, they can apply to be on the committee. Is that correct?
No, this is well, I think so. I'll know for sure on the application piece after Wednesday, because we're having the first conversation with the firm. So DDM will talk to us about that. I don't know if it is simply the survey, which is, what do you want to see?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the biggest issues are? I'm not sure if both pieces will go together or if it is only going to be the survey that goes. So I don't know yet.
Okay, but even if it's just the survey, like even if you guys aren't ready for the application piece, like that's still, to me, I think we want them, if something's going to stand alone, it would be, my opinion would be, it would be that, because we want them to answer that survey.
Okay. And maybe a reminder.
Mm-hmm.
Are any
sorry.
of our surveys translatable? Or is that like a big issue we might have that we?
They're not translatable.
That's kind of a bummer.
It is, but that's where we are right now, and I think we just don't have the ability to do that.
Do you think that's something Dawn could look into? Or have we looked at that before and it just can't be done?
I mean, you can do anything if you spend enough money. Right? I don't know. Right? Even in talking with MAEC, their surveys aren't translatable yet. Panorama surveys are not translatable.
Right.
So that's,
So even those large organizations are not
Yeah.
at
Those-
the point yet.
those unfortunately are kind of, so.
I take
But then
notes too.
There's no need to worry about linking in a survey or linking in an application since they can't be translated no matter what.
This document looks really great, Casey. Do you think at the top, the projects, does it scroll further? Like, what about our negotiation? Do we need to, you know what I mean? Like our other committees, do we need to add them or not really?
Well, that's the thing in the project tracker, as we get requests, like if you guys as a negotiation team made a request of the communications committee to do something, absolutely would add it on and put it
Perfect.
where it belongs. This is just all we have at the moment, or all that I could think of at the moment that we had going on. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely as we get, we'll add them.
Perfect. Yeah, this is really great.
And look, we've got lots.
Yeah, this was actually helpful though in thinking about the budget. Because that's
Yes.
such a huge thing.
And then we'll just need to keep a close eye on the turf and track, and if it is going to be June referendum or November, and how to get all of that stuff in there. So I think this is a great working document, and to your point, seeing it helps keep everything in alignment.
Yeah, because we're gonna run up to a lot of overlap, I think, coming up.
Mhm.
Like I put in there for the week of 2/21 that we wanted to use that town newsletter to kick off the budget, but we certainly don't have to. That was just me. Like if we have something better to use the town newsletter for, or I guess we have to think about what from a finance perspective we think we need to share at that point.
Yep.
But our workshops are starting that following week.
And maybe it's both that we talk about that. I'd also want to put a plug in for the search, if possible, too, because it may not hurt to have somebody who doesn't have children to weigh into that conversation, as well as to make sure that everybody knows what's happening. I think it's good practice, to Diane's point, to over communicate. I'd much rather somebody come back and tell us, enough than
great
not
for
enough.
Feedback, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Stop talking to us.
Do you have a date yet when the last date to complete the survey is? Because that might help us figure out the best place. You don't know that.
I won't know until Wednesday.
Okay.
Once I do, I will update everything in here. But no, we wanted to talk about where some of that stuff is, because no, I don't know.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and we'll have, I don't know that DEI will have anything to communicate necessarily during February, which would probably be helpful, right? Like if we could push anything off on that
Okay.
communication.
It's
Just
probably
because-
only going to get tighter.
Yeah.
Yep. Which actually, in seeing all this and all the things that are being communicated, I'm just wondering, in our updates to the board, should there be conversation about how to prioritize communications? And I don't know how it was managed in the past. If we have so much overlap, is it communications who decides? Do we just put it all out? How do we determine the order of documentation?
I'm just thinking out loud. I would think that's sort of our job, since we're the only one looking at the whole thing. I think if we're ever confused as to what the board would prioritize, but I think we probably have a pretty good idea, right? I think dates are going to dictate a lot. I don't know. I don't know. Or do you think you're worried we're going to run into a situation of having to choose one over another?
A little bit of that, because like if we're looking at stuff with, and I'll just start with the town charter. If we're looking at the charter and the turf at the same time, do we need to prioritize one push over another push? Because there
Yeah,
may
I
be
mean,
pieces in the charter that impact us that we really want to make sure people are aware of the impacts.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as we start adding things to the tracker, like I think as far as the charter goes, I don't think I knew any dates to add anything in there on that. If we see problems, maybe we bring that problem back and say.
Yeah, or maybe
we-
we try to do like what we're doing now, where we push one form and one piece of information through the newsletter, one piece through S'more. Kind of prioritize that way.
Pick which medium is best to which.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna hope, Leanne, that doesn't happen.
The other thing on those, and I certainly am aware that we're not thinking in May yet, but those months where there's not, I should knock on wood, those months we don't have a lot to communicate, perhaps like one of the topics could be something that just reminds the community that these meetings are taped. You can go back and watch the meetings for more information. The videos are on our website, just more of an education piece around that, especially if we just added that as a one of our protocols.
I like that.
And I would love to think that in May we'll have nothing to communicate.
I'm knocking on wood while I said, I promise, with both hands.
It'll be all budget.
That's gonna be all budget. It's gonna be crazy.
All budget all the time.
I
Yes.
think in June, if you go over to June, I did start adding in there a list of things sort of after the referendum
Yeah.
Mhm.
of things that we could maybe think about doing when it's a little quieter. I mean, June has to be quieter, right?
Knock on wood.
Because yes, that week of June 13th, I am going to be a blubbering mess. That's graduation week. And I even get teary-eyed just thinking about it. So yes, we're going to hope that that's all we're communicating. Oh, all right. So this is good stuff. Like, I'm really excited about where this is. All right, back to the agenda. This might be a really short meeting. I talked to Ken Johnson a little bit over email yesterday. They're meeting today at 4, and they're going to schedule a future meeting for a joint communication. Their meeting timeline is usually 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I hope that works for everybody. As soon as we know what the date is, I will make sure it gets out. But they want to talk about what sort of goals did we have? How did we want to work together? So that's upcoming.
Do they mean how we want to work together on the budget, or?
I think on both. Ken and I have chatted a little bit about when we had talked early on, I think it was one of our first meetings, about increasing the newsletter reach and how we could do that collaboratively. Because I think it's in all of our best interest to get their town newsletter more widely read.
Yeah.
It was things like that. How do we more effectively get our messages out? So it's
Will
kind of a both piece.
Will Allison be there? Do they work with her closely?
They
or does
do.
she
They work really closely with her. And if she's not included, I will make sure that she's on their piece. Taking a good note now. Joint finance, joint communication. And since we have time, I want to bring up the conversation that we just had, Katie and Shannon, just to bring you into the mix. We were talking about the school nutrition program and a really large deficit that we're going to need to overcome for this year's budget. And one of the pieces that had come in is about $200,000 in deficit because we can't charge anybody for any of their food. It's all free based under the USDA programming to ensure that everybody had access to food. The money that we're getting only covers about 1/3 of the costs. And so the conversation had come into how could we communicate, if somebody wanted to, ways to donate towards the program. And I'm in my mind thinking along the lines of the stuff with June. That's a great time to say to all those senior parents, consider donating what's left in your lunch account to the nutrition program.
Mhm.
But that won't be enough to cover that kind of a deficit. And how do we go about communicating this in a way that doesn't bring, to Diane's point, a feeling of it's mandatory, but
Right.
how do we get to this?
Yeah, when I think about it, like from my own perspective, it's more like if someone just posted it somewhere with the button to click on, I'd be like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to do that. I've been meaning to make that donation. I just didn't feel like going on the website and figuring out how to do it. Not that it's probably difficult, but if you know, just having it in someone's face of like, hey, did you know that the free lunch program only covers 1/3 of the cost if you want to make a donation? I mean, but I don't know, does in reality, and I guess I should have asked Kate this, does a donation even offset that deficit? Like, is that how that works?
I
Like,
don't
would
know.
someone's donation, or is it money that we would then be able to maybe say next year we'll be able to continue? Like, how would it help us? Where would it?
Well, remember, like if we have to bail out the food service program, that comes from our surplus funds, right? So that would come from our general funds. So if somebody makes a donation,
So it does make a dent in the deficit. Yeah, okay. That's all I was confused.
To KT's point about the button, and I know that's a terrible way to say that word, button. Would we need our own or a new rev track? Can we find that out, Sandy or Diane? Would we need to create like a new something specific to earmark towards the lunch donation?
Yeah, we could work with Kate on that.
Okay,
I'll make a note of that.
thank you. Because I do think that that's a great way, to your point, KT, of send out the communication and here's your link to donate.
Right.
Yeah, make it easy.
What's the difference between making a donation there to the nutrition program versus the backpack program? Like, I certainly don't want to take from one.
Yeah.
The backpack program is over the summer, correct? That feeds through the
And
summer months?
vacations.
Yeah, or all, but yeah, when they're not in school.
so we're giving lots of food away right now. So for example, we're feeding, I don't have the exact number of families, but we are feeding probably 30 some odd families a week. And so when kids pick up their remote meal packs, there may be a general box that's just like, here's food for your family for the week. So it's not necessarily set up, you know, for a lot of our families it is, right? Like you're picking up your remote meals, here's 3 breakfasts, 3 lunches, but then there are identified backpack program families for whom we provide a lot more than that.
My internet was bad again and I missed almost all of what you just said. So are those 2 different donations then, donating to the backpack program versus donating to the nutrition
Yeah, we would
program?
never use backpack program funds to absorb a deficit in food service, right?
Yep.
It's earmarked specifically for just that backpack program.
So what's the better place to ask someone to donate?
Well, I think if we're running in the hole with the school lunch program, then with a straight face, you know, we can say that, and
Yep.
any donation would be awesome, you know, so.
Okay.
And what, you know, across the country, everybody's running into this. This is not just a Scarborough issue.
I think that I think it would just be really eye-opening to people to know that only 1/3 of the cost is covered. Like, I think that's, you know, it's surprising when you hear all lunches, you know, you don't have to pay for lunch this year. It's like, oh my God, that's awesome. But no one says the school department's picking up 2/3 of that cost.
Well, and we provided food over the summer too.
Yep.
Which is very generous, you know.
Yep.
So if people right now want to make a donation to the school nutrition to offset the school nutrition costs, they would need to make a cash donation. So in other words, students could not use their lunch accounts because it's free. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. And part of the other reason for it being totally free is then kids don't have to hit the little keypad with their code. Our food service staff aren't handling cash, right? Which, you know,
Yeah.
could have also been another cause of spread, of transmission. So, you know, so there are lots of reasons why. But primarily, obviously, the federal government moved in this direction so that this would be kind of an equalizer for everyone.
Yeah.
So I'm working on an email here for Peter, and I'm gonna copy Kate on that just to see if he can give us some more specifics in regards to what that offset actually is, or any little like key fun facts or tidbits of information.
Yeah. I'm trying to catch up on all of the notes.
I think part of the thing is like it may cover a lot of the food, but it doesn't cover any of our staffing costs, right?
I've got to run. Sorry, I'll catch up with you another time.
Hi, Sandy.
Thanks, Sandy.
Thank you. Bye.
I was going to say, you don't really think, like, I was just counting out, like, just my household, what I put into that nutrition program over the course of 1 year, you know, and you don't, I guess you don't really, if you're not, I mean, I had not heard that it was only that little bit was covered. So now I'm thinking like, whoa, you know, think of my household times how many are in this district.
Right. And again, granted, you know, some of our families have had to divert those funds that they paid for school lunch and now they're paying for childcare, right? Because we're not in school 5 days a week. And so, you know, for many of our families, that's, you know, been a little bit of a pressure release in terms of, okay, so I'm not paying $30 a week to the lunch program, but now I'm coming up with $100 that I have to pay, you know, a childcare provider or something.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. That's all I had. It was a short agenda for today. Again, thank you guys for being willing last week to conquer and divide the 3 major trails. The outreach communication, Shannon, I noticed that you had made some modifications. I will take a look at those right after this.
Oh, yeah.
The hope, Diane, is that we can put at least the notification that we've entered the relationship with DDM in Friday's newsletter. So we'll get that so we can at least begin those communications.
That sounds good.
All right.
And you
Anything
don't need
else?
us doing anything for the survey or the application. You're all good on that?
I think we're going to need some help with it, but I wanted to get the feedback from DDM before we did any more modification. They're out in the superintendent folder share drive. So if you guys want to take a look at them, they're there. And if they're not there, let me know and I'll republish them to it. I think I just dropped off. Can you still hear me? Okay. The AirPods got tired. It's been a lot of talking. I really wanted to get their feedback on some of those pieces before we went and spent a bunch of time on it. So I will make sure that we won't be able to start our piece until Thursday, but that will give us about 10 days before we start doing any pushing. So we'll have some time. I don't know if you guys are around next week during vacation. I know I am.
Mhm.
And hopefully it'll be a little bit quieter with other pieces. So we'll be able to focus on that.
Sounds
So
good.
the CRF is the only thing that we're really have to do this week.
Yep, that's it, which is kind of delightful. I mean, again, I'll send the links after the meeting on Wednesday so we can get started. So we'll have plenty of time. But yeah, CRF's really the only one for this week.
And you, when we get that all finalized from Kate and from Sarah, you will send that to Liam? Is that who it goes to?
Actually, it goes to Kelly, and Kelly will send that over
Oh.
to Allison.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. And I think, Diane, you've seen, I'm pretty sure it's been shared with you. If it hasn't, I'll make sure that I've done that. Usually the way that I send it, I'm pretty sure I have you on there in the beginning. But if not, I apologize. It's just, I think I have everybody included all the time, but sometimes I don't. So I apologize if not. All right. Anything else?
So,
This feels weird.
What, being done this early? I mean, we can come up with things to talk about.
No.
oh
Don't
my
let Diane
goodness.
hear you say that.
Meanwhile, Diane was like, wait, I was going to get
I'm
20
like, okay, wait. I thought I had 5 minutes to eat my lunch, which consists of a Lara bar and a banana. Pretty lame. Yep.
Uh-huh.
But that's
All right.
okay.
Oh,
Very good.
All right.
all right.
Yeah, so I'll be on the lookout for that, and we'll put that in the newsletter later.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sounds good.
That's good.
Okay. All right. Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Later.